What's up, YouTube? Ryan Panny here. Hope you guys are doing reasonably well. It has been a fucking phenomenal year for metal so far. I think it's pretty hard to argue that. But the thing is, when all is said and done, it is still very possible that this winds up being the shittier half of 2022, just because we have so many big releases still to come. We have Machine Head, we have Amon Amarth, we have Lamb of God, we have Soulfly, Arch Enemy, Belphegor, Behemoth is dropping an album. I mean, and then that's just the big blockbuster names. That's not counting the dozens and dozens of smaller bands that I either see coming in the pipeline or will hopefully discover in the coming months. So yeah, there's a lot to be excited about here, both what's already happened and what's still to come this year. These metal lists I always struggle with, both what to include and then what order. In terms of what to include, it always hurts especially to leave out some of the lesser known bands that I would like to give a shout out to. Bands like Slow Bleed, they put out a cool record, although it's more like an EP because it's so short. Helpless, Celeste, great black metal band. These are all bands, examples of bands that I would have loved to keep in but ended up cutting. But the result here is definitely the 10 best records. So I really hope you guys enjoy this list. Ideally, you pick up on something that you may have missed here at the halfway point of 2022, so your list in December doesn't look sad without it, because no one wants to see that. And yeah, let's do it. Number 10 is Venom with Erebos. Technically, if you count their re-recorded shit, this is their fourth album in a 5.5 year period, which is remarkable how prolific and how consistent they have been so far. They have rightfully garnered a good deal of critical acclaim for their suffocating and uncompromising brand of death metal, which is, I guess, that trait specifically is a little bit less the case on Erebos, which is a record that kind of chops off like 20% of the sheer brutality and impenetrability of their sound and replaces it with a little more songcraft. Like, you hear a lot of Swedish melodeath influences on this record, which may have not been there before. In general, Venom really synthesized a lot of great metal subgenres on this record. Like the song Castigated, there are parts in that song that sound like new wave of American heavy metal. There are sort of black metal-ish blast sections. There is a twin guitar section that very much follows the Iron Maiden to Arch Enemy lineage. There's a breakdown at the end of the song that sounds kind of like metalcore, and that's just one track. In general, I could really see Venom becoming sort of this next generation's Black Dahlia Murder, R.I.P. to Trevor, in the sense that you have this immensely popular extreme metal band which is able to maintain that popularity without a significant amount of compromise and still maintain their credibility with underground audiences. I really see Venom fitting into that role. For songs, I love Castigated, I love the song Veil of Night, and I believe it's the closer, the song Technologies of Death, which sort of does channel Black Dahlia. I loved Astronoid's third record, Radiant Bloom, although my undying love for this band's unique brand of weightless and ethereal, sort of prog metal / post metal kinda. My love for them doesn't exactly leave me unbiased. They're just so different from the other music that I typically listen to, especially in the metal world. Just the rich and uplifting atmosphere they create with these songs that elicit things like joy and gratitude and mindfulness and all these emotions and states of mind that I'm not going to get from any other entry on this list, and I'm not going to get from most metal. Like a song like I Forgot in Your Face, that's like basically just meditation music with blast beats. That's how I hear it. And for people who enjoyed Air, their first record, and enjoyed the self-titled record, I think I've mentioned both of them on this channel. This one in particular dials the metal element down a little bit, but the quality is consistent. Favorite tracks, Sleep Whisper, I Forgot in Your Face, and probably Human. For the quintessential black metal record, look no further than the new Dark Funeral record, We Are the Apocalypse. Album number 7, I think, from these guys is like just exactly what you want and expect from them and bands like them. And to me, it just happens to be a bonus that this is like just the best, tightest possible version of that. Just takes what you think of when you think of these bands to the nth degree. I see very few flaws here. Music is furious at times, it's evil at times, it sort of drowns the listener in other portions. And to me, one of my favorite things about Dark Funeral that sort of sets them apart is just how easily audible the lyrics are and the vocals in general. This allows you as the listener to sort of effortlessly follow the lyrical themes and narratives, which pays dividends on my favorite track, When I'm Gone, which hits sort of a rare emotional arc. So yeah, I mean, if you love black metal and you haven't heard this, first off, I'd be shocked. Second, listen to it. Favorite tracks, When I'm Gone, definitely Beast of Praise and Let the Devil In. Rammstein next with Zeit. God help me with these pronunciations. 3 years of German in high school and nothing stuck. This record makes me feel silly for how much I enjoyed Liebe ist für alle da and the self-titled or untitled record. Not because those records are bad, but they sound tired and undercooked in comparison with the massive anthems and genuine artistic risks that are spread all over this album. I just feel silly for how much I fanboyed those records. Because now they've dropped what is arguably their best record since their classic album Mutter, which years ago I did a video on this channel. Much has been made of the second to last track on here, the heartbreakingly beautiful but auto-tune driven ballad Lügen. Really gorgeous song, but the balladry does not stop there. It's all over this record. Meine Tränen is gorgeous. The title track, Schwarz. There are just tons and tons of towering melodic moments on here. And I do enjoy the heavier moments too, which are probably less numerous, like the song Zigzag. The post-chorus section of that song is my favorite passage on the record, and I return to that song more than any others on here just to hear that part kick in. It's fucking perfect. The opener, Armin de Tristan, has this industrial metal stomp that I really like. Angst is a headbanger. But in general, it is the ballads that steal the show here. Rammstein's melodic focus is stronger here than it's been in years and years and years. And I think when all is said and done with their career, this will be a top entry in the catalog. Favorite tracks, Zigzag, like I mentioned, the opener, Armin de Tristan, and Lügen. Number 6 is Zealand Artist's self-titled third record. These guys are one of the biggest and baddest when it comes to black metal for hipsters. So if you're into the liturgies and the death heavens of the world, chances are you've been on them since day one. Their really cool and unique spin on the black metal genre is directly incorporating blues and gospel and spiritual music into the sound of the genre in a very blunt and a very non-sheepish way, like right in your face, to the point where their breakout record was called Stranger Fruit. A little bit of a hint there. And on record number 3 here, it's even more eclectic. Like, I particularly enjoyed the heavy-handed industrial metal influences, like Feed the Machine and Death for the Holy and Run. Those all sound like late 90s strapping young lad songs at times. And then we veer into some of the most accessible experimentation they've done with sort of an alt-rock tinge on songs like Church Burns and Bow. And then of course you have the elements that you're used to, the blues and the spiritual music kind of right in your face. I gotta say, it's such a joy to listen to someone like Manuel, their frontman, I'm not even gonna attempt his fucking last name, who is so creatively unhinged. Like, I didn't even mention the fact that there's EDM flourishes that are then mixed in with triumphant major key black metal on the song Immersion, which is maybe my favorite track on here. He's just like, whatever the fuck it takes to make a song interesting. And I love that. And I also love when artists are so adventurous and so out of the box that you almost like can't tell if they're trolling you at times. I enjoy that feeling as a listener. And the fact that the end product ends up being still such ear candy is just like the icing on the cake. Favorite tracks, Immersion, Hold Your Head Low, and JMB. The Hath record, All That Was Promised, is fucking phenomenal. These guys are a black and death band out of Jersey who have been at it for I think 7 or 8 years now. And based on how tight and well crafted this record is, they deserve 20 times their current audience. They really do remind me of Behemoth in the best way possible on songs like the single Kenosis, with the way that they're able to craft crushing death metal which still has an aura of evil around it. I think that's a harder balance to strike than most people realize. They are significantly more technical than the bands that influence them, and songs like Iosis have some very intricate and very precise guitar work. And finally, one other way they stand out is they showcase some real emotional range on the powerful 1-2 punch of the closing tracks on here, particularly the closer, Name Them Yet Build No Monument. I think I got that title right. Which is just such a powerful note to end the record on. That is where this record really comes out of its shell and shows that it's a lot more of a statement artistically than just 9 tracks of death metal or whatever. So yeah, these guys are my new top death metal band. If you are a death metal fanatic, this will be your favorite pick on the list, I guarantee it. Favorite tracks are the 3 I mentioned, Kenosis, Iosis, and Name Them Yet Build No Monument. Okay, here's one that I really didn't see coming. The Ibaraki record. Matt Hafey from Trivium, Ishan from Emperor, coming together for a stunning 10 tracks that really sounds nothing like either person's previous work. It might be kind of rude to say this as a massive Trivium fan myself, but I prefer this record over a significant portion of that band's massively popular catalog. And then on the Ishan side, sure, it is categorically black metal, so maybe it's closer to what he does, but Matt Heafy is singing super clean over most of these very extreme blast beat sections and everything, which, by the way, is a career high vocal performance from him. His voice is unbelievable on here. And then you have all these really beautiful quiet sections. And you have sugary guitar melodies that sound so wonderfully out of place. They really don't belong in this record in the best way. And then you have whatever the fuck that polka song is at the end. You have Nurgle showing up from Behemoth. You have Gerard Way from My Chemical Romance. Like, really, I'm not kidding. He shows up on this record. It's a record that I feel like is going to have a lot of longevity for me. I could see myself listening to this for years and years and years and not tiring of it. It's two musicians that I really love and respect, making music that sounds nothing like what I'm used to from them. So it's distinct. I think the Japanese lyrical imagery adds a lot to the record too. It's a record that's going to be very hard to forget. So I really hope you guys give this one a chance. If you listen to tracks 7 through 9, that'll be, if that doesn't convince you, then nothing will. Fit for an Autopsy, just keep getting better and better for me. Oh, What the Future Holds is, I think, the heaviest record on this list. And if we're going based on pure heaviness, their frontman, Joe Battalato, is just one of the meanest fucking frontmen. Like, he genuinely scares me. That's how just menacing his vocal delivery is. And the songs are airtight, and every part feels like it's supposed to be there, which is a nice feeling as a listener. The song Higher Level of Hate is the craziest riff/groove that I've heard so far in 2022. Far From Heaven is another one that deserves a mention. Also, I really want to give praise to Joe's lyric writing. I think lyrics often take a back seat in extreme metal, but like the closing track on here, The Man That I Was Not, it is very thoughtful, and I genuinely enjoy reading along, and it adds a lot to the listening experience. I haven't decided whether this is better than Sea of Tragic Beasts for me. I think it is, but either way, it was an obvious top contender for this list. Number 2, I'm giving to Rolo Tomassi. I think it is so difficult to make progressive metal that is truly emotional and tear-jerking and beautiful, and this band does it again with what seems like very little effort. Tracks like Almost Always and Closer make real striking use of James Spence's keyboard playing to create these truly transcendent moments that I've just been returning to like an addict. Also, the song End of Eternity is in that group as well. And this is, of course, alongside a lot of aggressive and complicated songs, like Prescience is one that I really like. Also Drip. To Resist Forgetting is another one. Very involved and very multi-layered, but just eminently listenable throughout. Actually, the reasons that I love Rolo so much have a good deal of overlap with the reasons for my number 1 pick here, but we'll get to that. Favorite tracks, pretty easy. Almost Always, Drip, Closer. And number 1, I am so thrilled to give this spot to a band that many of you have not heard of, because I know people are often skipping to number 1, so I get to really give them the spotlight here. The band Greyhaven with their 3rd album, basically flawless 3rd album, This Bright and Beautiful World. Love the ironic title. To get specific right away, the way this band uses dissonance and leans into some truly hideous sounds to then create music that's so easy on the ears and so memorable, I find that jaw-dropping. The track on here, Quiet Shakes, is a phenomenal example of this, as is the track Painful and Necessary Action. These are both songs that utilize and employ these fucking nails on the chalkboard notes and combinations of notes in such creative and careful and deliberate ways to then generate songs that are very easy to listen to and very catchy. I find that fascinating. And just a more general compliment here, the guitar riff writing and composition on this record is the best of any other record from this list. The note choices are consistently creative and surprising to the point that they kind of force you to pay attention as a listener, which is a good thing. This band is like if your favorite mid to late 2000s Warped Tour band were actually really, really good at their instruments. That's what this feels like to me. And we could debate whether it's technically classifiable as metal, because I think their sound comes just as much from Converge as it does from bands like Every Time I Die and similar bands of that ilk. But either way, what I do know is that if there's one record that came out in 2022 thus far that I want everyone to hear, it's this one. So congratulations to Greyhaven on an amazing 3rd record. I really hope that it moves the needle for them, because they deserve it. Tracks to check out on here, All Candy, Quiet Shakes, Ornaments from the Well is another one. Really the whole record, but those 3 are great places to start. There it is. 10 fucking great records for you to sink your teeth into. statistically very improbable that you've already heard all 10 just because of the varying audience sizes here. So please do yourself a favor and check them out. And of course, please do me a solid by leaving your top 10 list in the comments so I can do my catching up, because Lord knows I probably missed a lot. As always, thank you so much for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this video and are not yet subscribed to my channel, please consider doing so by clicking right over here, as well as checking out any other rock or metal related content that I publish here on a regular basis. I really appreciate you guys watching, liking, disliking, just engaging in any fashion. Twitter, Instagram handle @RyanPannyMusic. Again, thank you so much for watching, guys, and I will see you soon.